voice notes, but I'm just going to go for it anyway. So I'm going to go screen 2. That's great. Can you see my screen at this point? Brilliant. So this, I'll tell you a little bit about some of the work that we're doing with Power Apps for Kids, because 5 Minutes to Wow came out of this idea of trying to teach children things, but sometimes, you know, you've got a 25-minute session or a 30-minute session, and maybe you just need to show someone something cool in a really, really short period of time that makes them so inspired that they can do something and pretty well remember what you've just shown them, and it's only taken 5 minutes. So when we do our sessions with the Power Apps for Kids sessions, we have one of the slots is 5 minutes to wow, and so they also make themselves, they can have the possibility of being nice little 5-minute videos that they can then consume at some other time. So it's just an idea. So this very first sort of 5 minutes to, this is the website here, and if you want to kind of consume something, if you wanted to do one of the projects, what you do is you go to downloads, here, then you go to this full screen view, and this is quite cool actually from a techie point of view. This is really good fun, because this is actually a Power BI report driven by a model-driven app, which allows me, and done on a published web basis. This is kind of free to air, if you like, which means that you can then kind of go, well, what do I want to do today? I want to choose a project, and well, which project do you want to do? And you can hit the drop down, and then that we can do Hangman for Kids, because Laura put that together and it was awesome. So that means you can then kind of either go to the video and you can jump onto the video and watch it on YouTube, and that'll pop up in a second, or you can, let's just might as well get us started. So there we are, it starts off fantastic. Or you can actually get to the content itself. So there's a download of the actual the new improved version of the app itself, and all this stuff is stored in GitHub, and you just click download and away you go, sort of thing. So it's kind of that little bit of it's quite cool from a techie point of view. But as I say, the reason why I wanted to do this session was I just wanted to do like an adult version. It's not going to be rude. Sorry, Keith, I know that'll disappoint you. But I wanted to do an adult version of 5 Minutes to Wow. So
and your mother listening
is one on sign language. So my niece does sign language, and she I was talking to her about, you know, what we might be able to do and whether or not we could do an app and all this sort of thing. So I'm actually going to go from blank on this one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to literally fire up an app. I don't know why my thing is appearing on the left hand side. It does my head in now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a really teeny tiny app, and this is a proper 5 Minutes to Wow app. So I really love this app, or the whole idea of this app. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a sign language app. So here we go. We're going to go create. I probably should have done this earlier. Create from blank. We'll do a tablet app, and we'll make it and we may call it sign. Sign. There we go. Click create. And so this is going to pop up. Now, the crux of this particular app is that we are going to use the split function. Now, I don't know if many people have used the split function. I absolutely love it. You shouldn't be like passionate about a function, but if there was one function that I wanted to like say, well, this is so cool, everyone, it would be this function. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to go insert. I should actually do that drag and drop thing. So insert, in fact, no, I prefer doing this one. Insert input, text input. So that in we go with a little text input. I'm going to make my screen a little bit bigger there. And I might see if I can make this bit bigger here as well. Yeah, that's better. So I've got a text input, and I'm going to make the default of the text hello world. So what we're going to do is we're going to split that. So what I need to do is now I need to put in a gallery. So I'm going to go and put in a vertical gallery. And what I need to do is I need some data for my gallery. So well, the first thing I'm going to do actually is just make this a blank one. I don't need all that sort of goings on there. And the contents of this gallery is going to be split. And I'm going to split text input 1 dot text. And how we're going to split it, and we're going to split it by nothing at all. And what that does is it means inside this we're actually going to have, I'm going to put a label in there. No, I'm not, because that didn't go in there. I'm going to hit drag a label in there, and you can see that I'm actually got hello world in there. So there's hello world. But the thing that you need to know is that I got my niece Bethany to do to actually do some GIFs with sign language of loads and loads of letters and words and so on. So, and they're all sitting in my sign language repository, which is in GitHub, and GitHub is a really cool place to go and get stuff. So if I kind of like go and grab that one there, and I just go right click download and go copy link address, and then jump back to this. No, it's not there, it's disappeared. Not that either. Leave that one. There's a few too many things open here. What I'm going to do is, and I'm deliberately making a mistake here. So I'm going to go insert, insert media image. Yeah, perfect. And what's the image going to be? It's going to be this item dot result. Is that right? It might be. In fact, it's going to be, I'm going to paste that in there and do the quote, and then do that, and this, it's not even this item dot result, it actually is this item dot result, this item dot result, and do and then quote, and then do the end of the quote, and we should be good to go at this point in time. And obviously we notice that we only get the 2 letters in at this point in time now. So the way in which we fix that is we're just going to put an per and put a text input 1.text. That should sort itself out. That means it's all going to go into upper, and then all we need to do is click on there and go to the wrap count and make it 5. That should mean that it all sort of splits up, and then we end up with hello world being split up. Now I just noticed that on this thing here the location of those things isn't quite right, so if I just jump onto this tree view and then go on to the image and then get the image, it's not allowing me to grab it. Okay, never mind. In fact, I need to just put it onto the X local coordinate, and I can just put it as 0, and that'll get me hello world. So so that was, I don't know, 5 minutes ish. Anyone think that's cool? Anyone? Because I'm kind of flying blind here. I can't hear anything.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now, in actual fact, I'm not going to carry on with this, but in actual fact, in that repository, she's done loads of words, so I can actually get her to do words as well. So you know, hello is this and all that sort of thing. But as you can see, let me just. I'm so bad on Teams. I mean, like I need a Teams course. But that thing there now is you can sort of say, let me do hello, mommy. Because mom's on the call, I don't call her mummy, but she's been called mummy today because it's 5 letters long, and that works out quite well. And we'll do another one. We'll do hello, Keith. So that's quite cool. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to move back to well, not that anyway. I need to move back to this course thing, and we're going to move on to the next thing. Now, look, this is my opinion, but in my opinion, the 3-screen app is one of the best apps going. And the reason why is because it is all about accessibility, and it means that people can build apps that they couldn't previously build. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a kind of top speed version of a 3-screen app. Now I just need to have a quick look on this thing here, entity. So I'm basically going to build a little tiny entity. Let me just check this thing here. What does it actually say? Let me just check my lesson. Check there. Yeah, okay, good. So these are all my fields that I need to make for this entity. So I'm going to do this now. And what we're going to do is we are going to go back onto Power Apps. I'm just going to jump into any, I'll go into a sandbox environment, but not like that. So I'm going to, well, where is it ending up? It could end up anywhere, the rate it's going. I'm aiming for my sandbox environment, but this is a full kind of this is a full common data service environment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build an app over the common data service. So I'm going to go into the sandbox here, and I'm going to go to I'm not going to create it inside a solution, but I'm going to do create. In fact, I shouldn't have done that. I should have gone data entities. And I'm just going to call this entity audio wow or something like that. New entity. I'll call it audio wow, and not bother with that thing there. We'll give it a display name with the name. Is that what we want to do? Yeah, why not? It's not too important. I'll just check where I'm heading with this. So name, base 64 audio, Unicode, and image. Okay, good. So back up to there. Name, done. Now one of my absolute favorite field types is the image field type, because it is so brilliant to use. So go with image. And I'm going to do data type. So all I do is whiz down to wherever the image. I'm going to call it my image, so it's really obvious to you that it's my image. And I'll set it as a primary image. It's not that important because it's the only one. And click done on that. I'm going to whack in another field, and I'm going to call it Unicode, which will come in, which will be relevant later on. That'll be a text field. Click done on that, and then go and do an add field here, and I'm going to call this is I'll call it my audio. Now I'm going to go down here, and it's not a text field, and this is a Keith, I don't know if you remember the exchange we had about this multi-line text thing, where I didn't even know it existed, because believe it or not, the text multi-line text does not sit within the text area. It actually sits down at the bottom, and it's got a maximum length of 1 million. So I'm going to stick in a great big number because I need a really big number. What's that? 100. That looks like about 1 million. So I'm going to click OK on that. Click done. That's me done on my having created that. I'm going to go save entity, and that's me job done on that. So that isn't the wow bit at all. That's just me setting up an entity that I can do stuff with. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to go to create. Now, believe it or not, I don't actually create things from data that often, but I'm going to do it now because I think it's really cool. Now, obviously, like where most people start, and there's no harm in it, is to start from that 3-screen app that you do from SharePoint. I just want to show you this particular way of doing it because there are certain features within the Common Data Service that are really cool. And so if I hit connect, and I'm going to go connect, and it's going to build me the 3-screen app. Now on the chat, how many people have actually done the 3-screen app? I mean, I'm just going to drag this down here, and sorry, I'm just doing a bit of screen moving whilst this thing's loading up. Do people make the 3-screen app themselves? Do they ever do this, to make a 3-screen app? Because I still think it's really cool. There's loads of times when I've used it, and I think it's good. Now, and the reason, so there's a couple of things I want to do here. I probably ought to have some data, because otherwise they never make any sense if they don't have any data. So I'm going to hit the play button, and I've now got an app that obviously works. We know it works on my phone as well, and I'm going to hit the plus button now. At the moment, it hasn't brought in all the fields, so I'm going to hit the X, and what I'm going to do is click on the form, and it's been a bit slow at the moment. So, and I'm going to click on the edit fields. I'm going to whack in all my fields. Come on, you can do it. Did you know? Yes, I do know that. Yeah. I know I have clicked that thing before where it says that. So edit fields. This thing has got a lot of delay on it, actually. So good. I'll just slow myself down. So what I'm about to do now is into the form. I'm going to add the fields that I need to add in to make this actually come to life. So the new field, audio wow, I do need that field. I need my image field, and I need the my audio field as well, and my image. I'm actually not quite sure what I'm bringing in here at this point, because I've got this audio wow thing, so I'm not really sure what that's going to bring in, but I'm going to click it anyway, because it'll just bring in some little fields for me. I actually think that audio wow is the it's the GUID, isn't it? That's what it'll bring in, which actually is no use to me whatsoever. So what it's going to do is now bring in those fields into this. It's been quite slow, actually. Yeah, there we are. In they go. And yes, that is a waste of time having that audio wow thing. And I am going to delete it. So I'm going to remove you. So, and I'm not going to bother with that. In fact, I'm just going to get on with it. So there's my audio. That's brilliant. So I've got a familiar field. Okay, good. So I haven't got Unicode, but in there, and I do need that for later on. So I'm going to need to make sure that my Unicode field is in there. So because that's one of the 5 minutes to wow things that we're going to be doing later on. So what I've done is I've kind of merged all these 5 minutes to wows into one kind of like big long story, but it's going to be a pretty mental app. No one would ever build an app like this, but I'm just using it to show that you can do different things. So it's now bringing in that Unicode field, which I need, and so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to plug some data in there. So I hit the play button, and it'll pop, and I'll put in. So I'll put Sandy. My audio is not relevant here. Click to add an image, and I am going to pop an image in from somewhere. Okay, why don't we put Laura in? That wouldn't make any sense, would it? Well, why don't we? I'll just go and find a nice image. Data spinners gallery. In fact, what I'll do is I'll find quite a I'll kind of see if I can find a fairly detailed image, because it's quite important to know that there are certain features of this that are important. So that you can see that's quite a nice quality image, and I'm going to click the OK button, and the reason for doing that is because I need a little bit of data. So quite why it has gone back now. So the first thing to note on this is that it should bring my field in. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Yeah, it does sometimes when you first bring these things in, because there is an image thing in there. It does sometimes. Oh my God, there's got real delays on this thing. Good. It does sometimes not bring in the data. Oh, for goodness sake, that is just gonna. I'm going to punch this thing in a sec. Yeah, I'm getting major delays on this, so it's okay. So yeah, so there we are. Can you see that it brought in that image? But did you also see that that is not quite the image that we actually clicked on? Now, one of the fundamental properties of the image field is it does two things. What it does is it actually creates a thumbnail of your image, and it also remembers the full version of your image. Now, so what I'm going to do now is one thing I quite often do with these, and I actually flip them, because quite often there isn't enough space on the screen anyway. So what I do is I just take the 3-screen app and I just flip it on its side, and it becomes a tablet app as far as I'm concerned. So I just go to screen size and orientation. So for me, flipping the 3-screen app on its side to make it a landscape app is a wow moment. Sorry, it is. I mean, because the difference that you get is quite fundamental. So, and the reason why this is going to be cool is, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a new screen, complete with 3-second delay for everything that I do at the moment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump us out from the image to a big version of the image and then back again. So here we go. But the reason why I want to do it is because I want to demonstrate how it is you get the full version of the image. So there goes my image, and what I'm going to do is go back to the browse screen, and then go on select. Come on. So what we're going to do is I'm going to click on the image and then do go to the on select property. Just have a look at time. Oh God, wow, I've got ages. I could tell you about my weekend soon. So image on select. I like working fast though. I don't like working slow. I know what I'm doing. On select, what we're going to do on select. So on select, we're going to do set GV my image to be. I know that to be this item dot my image or something like that. Image. Come on. I need the IntelliSense to come in because I can't remember what I called it. My image dot, and this is the magic full. This is the magic moment. Dot full. Why would that be magic? Yeah. And the reason it's magic is because now I have put into its memory navigate to screen. I don't know what screen name it'll be. Screen. It's probably screen 1. We'll guess it's screen 1, and then we'll go okay on that. So then what we'll do is it's now happy, and I'll hit the play. But this is great doing this, like with this weird delay going on. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to take us off to this empty screen any second now. And then what I'm going to do on the empty screen is I am going to go and put an image in there, and so insert media. Come on, you can do it. So I'm going to stick in an image in there, and it's going to be GV GV my image, which is my variable which contains the image. So. Good, make it huge, and the image is GV my image. I think I called it. And here we go for wow moment. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Is that good? I think that's really good. And then obviously what we do on the image bit is we go on select and then we'll just do back. So image on select, and then we'll go back. And then we've got that working. So there is nothing in here that someone couldn't do, if you see what I mean. There's nothing in here that is, there's nothing special in what I've done here. And yet I've got it's a big app. It does stuff. It works. I can enter data. I could, I did a version of this which was an expenses app, and you could, it's quite possible you can have, the numbers going in and so on. So that was the one of the. There's a few bits and pieces in there. I don't know if people do this sort of thing, but I think the image field within the common data service is brilliant. I did hear that an image field type is coming to SharePoint, which is going to be quite interesting, because this was, to me, having an image field type in CDS was something that SharePoint never had and never looked like it ever would have, but it is coming, and I saw the announcement for it recently. Good. So where should we go from here? So I'm going to go back to my little kind of guide here. So what have we done? We've done the CDS entity creation. We've gone there. Actually, do you know what? The highlighting of the current item is really good. So I am just gonna do on that. I'm gonna click on that. And I want to just, everything is so slow. Come on, you can do it. Because what I also want to do on this is I will put in another. So when you got your gallery, you never know which one you've selected, do you? Well, natively you don't know which one you've selected, and it took. I was working with Power Apps for months before I actually found out how you actually do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit a plus, and I'm going to put another image in, because it won't make any sense without another image. I'll call it test, and then whack another image in. It's always good to have an image, isn't it? And hey, let's see if we can find a Power Apps for Kids thing. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, we'll do that one there. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. There, that one. Okay, good. Open. Good. And we'll click the OK on that, and off it goes, and it should be happy. So we'll have two images in there, and it's just taking its time to work out that it has got two images. But notice if I actually click on one image or another image, it doesn't know that you've selected on it. It will come through in a second. The images will in a second. Now, in fact, I can't even click on anything. Good. So back. Good. There's the images. Notice this here. So these are tiny images. These thumbnails, they're really cool. Now, what I'm going to do now is I am going to just show you how on the gallery you make it so that the item that you've selected is highlighted. So what I'm going to do is, it's really tempting to go onto the fill of the gallery. It's really tempting, but it's not the one you want to go to, because what you want to do is you want to go onto the template fill. Template fill. Hit the enter. It'll say nothing. That will say clear at the moment. And then what you're going to do is, if this item dot is selected, then light gray, otherwise white. So that is the statement, that it's the this item dot is selected. It's a thing. It's a thing it understands, but it must be on the template fill. So if you actually go on there, that means you can now kind of click on it and it'll, you know, it's obvious which one you've clicked on. So this is something that Microsoft have brought into the new 3-screen app. What they've done is they've put on into the 3-screen app, they've put the ability to navigate to the next screen in a really dumb place. And I think they put it like, if you click anywhere on this thing, it will navigate you out. I think it's like they put it somewhere really, really strange. So just be careful when you've got this. I might see if I can actually get rid of it, because it's really frustrating. And I didn't understand why it was just firing me across the place all the time. I doubt if I'll find it actually. Template. I don't know. I doubt if I'll find it. It's they managed to put it onto the actual kind of template itself somehow. So I don't know if I'll be able to find it in the Times. So yeah, never mind. But it's something that they managed to, they just decided to bring in at some point. So I've just done that little bit where we've also managed to make it grey, so you can select it, because it's really, really important. Apps are rubbish. You can imagine doing it on your phone. You click on it and you never quite know which one it is. And if you've got a cascading drop downs, you don't quite know which one you've selected on. So as an example of using that, then, you know, it kind of means that I'm writing this course at the moment. So so that means when I'm writing the course, I can kind of click on this and I can kind of go on to the course thing, and it'll sort of go onto my modules, which means that I can I've got this cascading drop down thing going on. It'll be a bit more obvious in a second. So oh, that's nice. How bizarre. So it's having a little think there. That's a nice little pause. You can all talk between yourselves at the moment whilst my internet catches up. There we are. So it's done one of them, but it's not done all of them. So this is very peculiar. Good. Yeah, there's a lot of internet going on at the moment. So what happens now is if I kind of click on getting started, then what it'll do is it will then filter this list here, and then I can filter that, and then it'll kind of go on. But you can see from my point of view, the ability to actually just have that thing going grey is really, really important to me. So I'm going to jump back so that I can actually just jump back into the presentation and work out the sort of next steps. We have covered a few things already. There's much less data in the 5 minutes to wow thing. So I'm not quite sure if it's the next thing, but we've got a couple more things. Now the final wow thing, and I'm looking at the time here. I didn't quite know how long this would take, by the way. I've got some I've still got such cool things to show you guys anyway. I had this idea, and it was kind of related to it was related to so my niece, she's going to work at this this stroke unit. She's a psychologist and so on, and she's going to work at the stroke. It get me thinking about communication and so on. And I'd seen something recently about nobody uses the microphone control, do they? Has anyone seen anyone use the microphone control? And I think it's such a shame that
yeah, I have, Rory. I have,
have you?
It's only 15 seconds. You can only sort of get a very small bit. So where people wanted to do kind of like mad dictations and stuff, it's a bit like the camera control where the image just isn't quite a good enough quality.
Yes.
It's not quite big enough for a real world use case.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how this goes anyway, because the idea of this next bit is that, well, also my wife is she's a French teacher, and it kind of made me think about, like, you know, maybe her kids could, like, you know, submit their, you know, their when their oral bits you know, because you can work just as well in SharePoint and so on. So anyway, let's see how this goes. So the idea with this next bit is that what we're going to do is we're going to turn this into a voice notes app. Okay. So, and now if you remember, when I did my screen sharing, it didn't actually share. It didn't allow me to share the audio. So this is going to be truly exciting, because the culmination of this app will be something that you cannot hear. Okay. Yay, go me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm now going to see if I can turn this into a voice notes app, and there are some really cool technical things that we're going to have to do to make that happen. So what I'm going to do is going to go onto here and for some reason I don't know why I hit the play button, but I did, and hit the plus because we're going to create a new item. And what we're going to do is audio test. And what we're going to do is we're going to start messing around with this. Now, obviously, now that we've got it as a tablet app, we've got a little bit more space to play with. So maybe what we'll do on this is we'll go on to we'll go on to the form itself, and we'll give it. We can get away with 2 columns on this. Pretty easily, so that gives me a bit more room to play with. Now, if you remember earlier on with the God, there are such useless fields in this thing. So I don't need you. I'm just going to delete a few fields that are of no use to me, and I'm going to get rid of this thing here as well. Good. And so this audio bit is the hardest bit of this presentation, by the way, and I probably should have prepared for it more. There isn't actually a lot to it, right? There isn't really a lot to it because it is 5 minutes to wow. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, the idea is that into here oh, it's got such mad delays on this thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place an audio a microphone into this space here. So I'm going to go insert media, and I'm going to go microphone, and it should pop its way into there. So unlock an ad, wonderful. Because, and so if you remember that what we did with that control was, sorry, this field is a multi-line field, but essentially this field can contain up to 1 million characters. This is an important point. So, God, this is so slow. So what we're going to do is we are going to record our audio. We are going to convert our audio to text, and we're going to store the text in the audio field. Is that okay? We can do that. Okay. So I'm going to drag that, move it across there. Okay. So I'm just gonna have to do a little bit of fiddling around with this so I can kind of create a little bit of space for myself. Rightio, that's good. And what am I going to do? I am going to do. So obviously we take a recording, and then something happens when we finish recording. And the thing that happens when we finish recording is we need to pull out the text. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'll do the recording. So and it'll just be something really naff like test 1 2 3 4. London Power Apps and Flow user group is totally awesome, and Sandy is going to be amazing later on. Okay, good. So we've done that audio, and it is sitting inside that. It is sitting inside that control. So the challenge is to work out how we're going to get it out of the control, and the way in which we're going to get it out of there is, in fact, I messed up. Because what I wanted to do was on end, I want to actually I want to store that, and the way we're going to store it is that I am going to go to my I'm going to have to kind of go to my revision tool here, because what we need to do is we need to pull out the JSON. And the way we do the JSON is that we need to just write a very, very small bit of I don't want to call it code, but it is code. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab that bit of that formula there, and we're going to, on the mic here, I'm pretty sure it's on end. It's a bit naff the way you do it. They're on stop. That'll do. On stop. What are we going to do when it stops? We're going to do. We're going to store. We're going to store that text, and the reason, and that we're going to have to do. Hold on. There we are. So there are a few really cool things going on in this. Right. So one of the things that's cool that's going on in this is that it is using this thing called self, which is, how is it pretty new, that, Keith? That self dot something or other?
Yeah, and there's also going to be this record as well coming soon for all loops.
Oh, I don't do for all. I'm a citizen developer.
Oh, you dog.
No. Okay. So let's think about that. Self.audio. So that's this. When we recorded it, we created this audio object, if you like, which was me doing the recording, but it isn't text. So what we do is we use the JSON formula to take the text out. Now, it's not quite right. So because of that, I need to do a substitute, because that JSON has a quote at the start and a double quote at the end. So when I do the substitute 4 quotes, 2 quotes, that means that quote at the start and at the end is removed. So that's really, really important. So I'm going to have to do that recording again because it never got to the end. So I am going to do the London Power Apps and Flow user group is totally awesome, and Sandy is going to blow you away later on. That's a bit okay. We'll come off that and go on to. So what I'm going to now do is, into that my audio, is I am going to place this variable, and so what we're going to have is and bear in mind that this isn't perfect. You know, this is just, you know, that you would have to do a lot more to make it so that, you know, when you go into it, this is not a perfect solution right now. So the default at the moment, I'm going to make it GV. What do I call it? GV my audio. That'll do. And when I put GV my audio in, it should fill up with loads of text. I hope it does, because if it doesn't, then I'm in trouble. I am in trouble. Oh, come on, you can do it. It may be waking up, because it's not responding on the screen here. So what I'm expecting to see is just loads of gobbledygook. In fact, you can see it there at the top. Can you see it says data, something audio, blah, 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 blah. So what I'm going to do now is, just so we know that we've got loads of text there, I don't really want to, I want to just sort of demonstrate that this is a lot of text. So I'm just going to go in there, and I am going to grab that and go see if I can go down to the bottom. I might not be able to. Copy that, and then I'm going to fire up Notepad, because I just want to show you what gobbledygook this is. Notepad, and we go in there like that, and there. So that is just, what is that? I mean, that's me saying, you know, London Power, you know, Power Apps and Flow user group, etc., etc. That's what it is. And so what we can do with that now is we can now attach an audio, we can read it. We can read it with so if we go if we kind of click on that again, and we go insert and we go on to media, and we go on to audio, and it's then going to ask us, well, what do you want us to have for audio? And I'm going to say this item, you know, I just realized I probably haven't technically done it the right way, because this GV My Audio is just going to keep replacing stuff and so on. So I'm just going to move it down there, and what is it going to do? Going to pop that down there. It's quite interesting. So what's the media going to be? And the media is going to be well, it's actually going to be what's in this data card in reality. So it's going to be I'm just looking for the name of the data card, which hasn't popped up yet. It's My Audio data card something or other. Oh, that's beautiful. It always seems to be data card 7 whenever I end up doing these things. Yeah, it is actually. How bizarre. Data card value 7. Text. I'm kind of hoping this is going to work actually, because it is a while since I've done this. So, oh dear, what have I done? No, what an idiot. I'm clicked on the wrong thing. Undo it. Yeah, this is the kind of delay thing that I'm getting at the moment, so it's good fun. So good. I need to wait for it to. So what I need to do is change the thing that this is actually the default of the audio, and I'm going to point it at data card value 7.text, and all being well, it will work. So what is the media? It's not the sample audio. It's going to be the data card value 7.text. You better work. Oh, it did work. Now, this is the bit where it won't actually, it's not looking good actually at the moment. So let's just see what's going on. Oh, you pain. The London Paris. Oh, it's working. You can't hear. Can you hear it? Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear it.
Yeah, we can hear it. Yay.
Yeah. So, but as you
cool.
as you probably all aware, you know, the way in which I've constructed this is in a really messed up way, in the sense that I've made the default of the audio is the is just this GV thing. So in fact, I need to do one more thing to make it work. So I'm going to hit the play button. I now remember actually what I did. So I'm going to hit the, no, I don't want to do that. I'm going to do that. Oh, anyway, so all I want to do now is, as I go into this form, I'm going to set the value of GV My Audio to be this item dot my audio, something like that, and then that will mean that the default will actually be okay, and then it can get updated correctly. So unfortunately it's so slow that so on select, that's a bit weird, isn't it? See, they have messed this up. What do you think, Keith? They've messed this thing up, because this should be navigating to the details screen. Navigate, edit. Up, edit screen 1, which is a real shame.
Because you've got the control selected, not the gallery selected. The navigate sits on the gallery, not on the control.
Yeah, why would they do that anyway? Navigate and then set GV My audio to be this item dot my audio. No, it's not that. I've just done a mistake. Okay, so what that means is now when we navigate out to the, well, especially if I do the right audio. Now, I never actually saved the audio, by the way, so I might have to do it again, which is great. But what this means is the way in which I've constructed it now, it means that when we navigate out, it will remember the variable which has got the audio in, and it's going to plug in nothing because it doesn't remember anything, and it'll just move across to the other place. I'll be able to hit the it's forgotten it because it remembered it. So if I hit there, test 1 2 3 4, then it's going to plug it into here, and if I click the save button and then save there, then that means that we can then we'll have the audio which is in here, and then on the gallery we could actually have, we could have a control which had the audio and all that sort of thing. So I just think, I mean, I've not fully fleshed this one out, but I've given you that idea that you can pull out using that idea of JSON, and this format that we're looking at here is called base64, which is, essentially, if you get gobbledygook, it's probably base64. And it works. I think on the camera control, Keith, I'm pretty sure it spits out base64. Is that right? Yeah, thought so. So it does come up. The only issue with this, by the way, is the base64 that comes off an Android phone or an iPhone is different to the audio that would come off your computer. So in actual fact, there are some reasons why this might not be a perfect kind of solution, but where there is a will, there's a way. So so that was so I've got one more thing to show you guys, and it is to some extent it is one of my personal biggest wow moments recently, and it is so small. This thing I'm going to show you is so small that we'll be through it in no time. So have people heard of Unicode? Okay, Unicode, great. Well, that's good. Throw it to a few too many people. So you should just say no. Oh no, Rory, you've just found gold. We'll do that again. Okay, Unicode. So just think of emojis and so on. In fact, if you do Windows dot, that won't do it there. So if I do Windows dot, you'll see a load of these, these images and so on. Now, and one of the sort of stems from, we've got so few icons to choose from in Power Apps, haven't we? There's about maybe about 30 or 40 of them, and once you get to a certain point, you've just got the star and the circle and the triangles and whichever other ones there they have and so on. It's kind of it's a little bit limiting, but there is a way of getting over 1,500 images using Unicode into your apps, and they're free. There's no weight within the app to that. So I'm just going to show you that. So what I'm going to show you is that it's pretty damn straightforward. So let me go on to, I've had enough of this app. Oh, that'll do. I'll do it on this one. So what I'm going to show you is how to do it. Okay, good. But the trick here is that what you do is you use a HTML text input. That's the key. And when you use the HTML text input, you have to then use it in the right fashion in order for it to actually kind of be brought in correctly. But I think it offers a world of opportunity. So I'll kind of waffling whilst this kind of continues. So there's blah, 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 HTML text. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that, that if I go to, there we are, Unicode, and just get this thing to wake up. Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Oh, well done. No, don't do that. Okay, never mind. Okay, the big reveal. So the big reveal is that I've created, let me just go on to data spinners. So on my website, I have created a Power BI report which effectively enumerates all of the Unicode things that I know about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on to the resources and then Unicode, and that's going to pull up a Power BI report, and this gives me the structure that I need. Now I'm going to quickly cheat my way to kind of grabbing this, and jump back to the app that I was fiddling around with, which is not that one. There, is it that one? Good. And in where it says put the HTML text, paste in this format, and what we should have is we've got these symbols here. I know what's going on this, but it doesn't. There's HTML text. Good. Now the trick on this is that when you want to make them bigger, you don't actually make the box bigger, because it makes no difference whatsoever. What you actually do is you change the font size, and so let's say you made it 50, then they get bigger basically. So there's a whole world of Unicode that's now available to us. But the question is then, okay, we know how to do it, but how on earth do I get all these amazing Unicode things? Well, the answer is that in the so on the site, what I've done is I've created a Power BI report which has got all of the Unicode. It's taken a while to load up actually. It's got all of the Unicode symbols with words next to them, so you can actually just type in and it'll come up with the Unicode that you need for the thing that you're trying to do. Now, to be fair, I have focused on the animals to start with, but my niece has been. I might actually have to. I was going to call up Power BI on my computer because I cannot be bothered to wait for this. Any second now. Good. Right. Good. So this is what you'll see on the internet if you go on there. So if you look up data spinners, then go onto the resources, then you'll get to this thing here. And then if you want to sort of look up something, I quite like the trains one because there are loads of trains. I'm not into trains, by the way. Don't start a rumor. But on the trains, there are loads of them. There's different. I didn't really think that there were different types of trains, but apparently there are. So if I type in train in here, then it'll filter it down, and I click the filter thing. Then it'll show me all of the trains that we have as Unicode items. Any second now. You'll talk between yourselves. How's this thing going to work? Yeah, it is actually waking up. So it does include trainers as well, as you can see. So what you can do then is you can then grab the number 128642, and you can then go back into your Power App, and 128642 is the thing that you need. So if I click on there and I do 128642. 28642, then it better not be that. Then the train pops up, and I think that with no weight, and just let's just look at this thing here, right? So you go onto there and you go onto there. You make this like massive, right? And then let's just put it up to let's put it up to 400. Is that big? I don't know. It probably is big. It's going to go pretty big. But I just want to show you that these images actually, they scale very well. Not sure how big this is going to go. We'll see. So if I just kind of go onto the play mode, you can see that I think that even though that's a massive image, it has actually scaled really, really well. You know, clearly you're never going to want it that big, but at half the size, that's going to look pretty good, you know, and that now means that instead of potentially searching around and adding weight into your app, you know, you can kind of you can get away with something that's much slimmer. I just want to see if on the interweb it's actually, yeah. So this is now where you can get to from my site, so that you can then, you know, go looking for things and plonking them in, and you can just, you know, kind of goof around with all the different things. I think some of them, like, I mean, just the one, here's the one that I want to use, web. I'm going to close off here. Just going to literally, the presentation is going to go like this, like that. It's going to go like that. So I'm just going to stop. There's not going to be like an end. There's not going to be an end. I'm just going to stop and go, right, Sandy, yours. Yeah, so there's the web icon, and that web, I think that web icon's quite nice. I'd use that. I already have used it. So we have covered quite a few things. We did the 3-screen app. We did the and we used the image control. We took the 3-screen app. We turned it on its side. We did the we made the thing go grey when we selected it. We've done the audio side of things. We started off with the sign language thing, all of which you can use. You know, you can access yourself using Power for Kids and all that stuff. And then we finished off with the Unicode, which, you know, I hope, you know, you guys all just kind of go and have a great time kind of making those apps. Like for me, that's why this app just looks that teeny bit nicer, because I was able to just add those bits in. You can't get them onto buttons. It's only ever HTML text. So as I say, we've covered a lot of ground, but hopefully there are things that you might use. You know, so thank you so much for having me on, and I'm now going to hand back to the team, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Sandy has for us.
You got to love Rory. You know, he comes on. Normally we have people cover 1 or 2 subjects, and Rory likes to cover all of them. He's like a boy in a sweet shop. I absolutely adore. I think we all learned something today from that. Like the audio control doesn't get enough usage, and the Unicode thing, I mean, what fun, and actually real world applications as usual. So next up we have the flower with the smile that launched 1,000 automations, Sandy Ussia, who is the nicest human being in all of technology as well. Even nicer than Rory, which is hard to beat. So,
wow.
Sandy, do take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. That's ridiculous intro. Let me share my screen. All right. And also, thank you for thinking I was British. I appreciate that. I don't know what that says about my country, but at the moment, I'm grateful for that. You can see my screen now, right? And hear me?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Great. All right. Just a tiny bit about myself. This session is going to be just showing you different resources, learning resources, and so on for Power Automate, which a lot of you are probably already beyond anything, but I always find that I learn something from any kind of session like this. So we're going to look at some starter resources, but also at some going further on. So just a little bit about myself. These are all the places you can find me. I would say mostly on Twitter of all these things, not so much on my blog. I don't know when the last time was I wrote a blog post on my blog. And feel free to email me as well. I am co-host of the Flow Pro show with Daniel Laskowitz from the Netherlands. That's a mostly monthly webcast that we do. I'll talk a little bit about that more later. I'm a business apps MVP, mainly in Power Apps and Flow and mostly in Power Automate these days. I am technical evangelist for Lightning Tools, which is a SharePoint ISV based in the middle of the UK. And also I am one of the founding partners of Enlightening, which is brand new, and I will talk about that a little bit later too. And I am normally a digital nomad. That's what the globe is there for. But during this pandemic time, I'm on pause, but sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I've been doing that for coming up on 5 years now, and so I miss being in England. We've spent a fair bit of time during that in England since I work with Lightning Tools, and so I wish I was actually in London right now, but I'm in Northern California, so that's also not so bad. Oops. We're going to do a little bit of crowdsourcing on this session. So I am not watching the chat, but maybe if one of you guys, Al or somebody, could put that link into the chat if people want to click on that, or you can scan it. So this is just a form where if you would like to contribute some other Power Automate resources that you've found useful that we don't talk about during this session, then you can do that. And then at the end, I will hit my flow button and everybody will receive a list of my recommendations and then also everybody else's recommendations if you so desire, if you fill in your email address. So first, I'm going to start with kind of basic flow resources, Power Automate resources. So some getting started things. I guess one of the things that Microsoft would like us to use to get started is their learning paths. I don't know if you've used them at all, but I find somewhat that they kind of take you to the middle of Power Automate, or they jump in very quickly. So if you start with this beginning one, automate a business process, that is meant to be the beginner one, but then pretty quickly it takes you to AI builder and robotic process automation and stuff like that, which I don't consider beginner topics. But they've got walkthroughs, which also kind of sometimes assume a good bit as far as what flow license you might have and things like that. But it's still a good thing to walk through, I think, to get yourself learning flow. So the link that you'll get in the links list will take you to the Microsoft Learn in general, but specifically to any of the learning paths that are related to Power Automate. And each one has, if you've never tried the learning paths before, as long as you're logged in with your Microsoft account, you can track your progress and earn little badges and things like that. And each one has a bunch of different modules and exercises that you can go through. So it really is pretty useful if you're just trying to learn about things and get started. And that's been around for a while, but I think they've fairly recently kind of revamped it. And you can also give them feedback too at the bottom of each one. Like if you find things are confusing, which I have found already, and so on, you can give them feedback to update those. Next up, I would consider, if you're just getting started, I know some people might disagree, but I like the Power Automate templates on the Flow homepage because pretty much anything that you might be thinking of that you might want to do with Power Automate, like a personal productivity enhancement or something, you might find that there is already a template for it. And even if that doesn't work for you exactly the way it's written, you can tweak it once you create it in your list of your flows. So if we go to the template page, and also, I think it gives you a lot of good ideas. So if you know that you want to do something having to do with remote work, for example, then you can kind of browse through the templates that have to do with that. You know, if you want to request your manager's approval, or change a planner task to a to-do task, although that might soon be irrelevant. But that gives you a way to just get started very quickly, and all you have to do is just click on one of those that you want to do. It'll connect to whatever connections you might have. I'm not in my browser that has my tenant in it, but then you can use any of those templates, and then you can go in there and edit it and do any sort of tweaks that you want as well. Next, I would recommend definitely John Levesque's YouTube channel. So he puts out a YouTube tutorial every week, pretty much without fail, and then he's got them classified into beginner, intermediate, and advanced, among other things. There are some other categories as well, but the beginner videos are just that, and they'll take you definitely to where you need to go with different topics. And a lot of times he has a guest on. I've done one or two with him, and a bunch of other people have as well, just to demonstrate some particular thing. They're usually not too long of videos, like on a half an hour or less, and really good information and good things that you can walk through and do yourself. I'm guessing that most people have probably been here at least at one point or another. John, by the way, is the I don't know what his current title is, but something about evangelism for Power Automate with Microsoft, in case you don't know of him. Next up is the actual documentation, which I think is pretty good, generally speaking. And you can get to that through the link that'll be in your links, but also, and I'm going to have that screen up again at the end of the session, by the way. But also you can get to it from the help symbol up in the corner of Power Automate, and just go to documentation, and that'll take you to this screen. So they've done some revamping on this kind of recently as well, and so you have some different categories. So if you are just getting started, it'll take you through, like, what are these things in the documentation that it'll explain. If you are wanting to use UI flows and robotic process automation, you can go straight to that. And yeah, as you see. So that's a helpful place, but also I like usually, documentation isn't something that you just go and read all of a sudden, probably. So I like the in-context bits of the documentation best. So for example, the connector reference, this is really, really useful. And you can get there either through the link that we're going to provide here, but also, and also from the Power Automate menu, you can just click on connectors and go to the list of connectors, and then click on any one of them. So let's just actually, so if I'm in Flow, Power Automate, sorry, and go to connectors, and I know that the thing that I work with, wherever I work, what I want to connect to with Power Automate, well, let's just say SharePoint, because I know that's a big one. Then when you click on it, you can go right from here to the documentation, and then that'll be documentation just about that trigger, which is all very useful and shows you, which parts of the Power Platform that connection will work in, that connector will work in, and also what all the relevant triggers are for that particular connection, and then describes them, and then you can click on each one and get more details about, you know, what parameters it requires, what you get back, and so on. Then same with the actions, really, really useful, I think. And sometimes there are some, I don't know if there are really examples too often, but I like having all of the parameters and being able to know what I should be getting back from things at any time, which you can get in a lot of cases from this definitions section, where, you know, if it says that what you get back is a table, then this tells you a little bit more about, you know, what does the SharePoint connector mean when it says table. But I also really like that you can get to that from from within a flow. So if I am in a flow, let's go to mine. Like this one that's going to send you your resources. And if I'm editing something, I can look at the action or whatever it is and click on the I, which tells you something really vague usually, but there's always, I think always, the learn more, and then that takes you right to that point in the documentation. So this explains the get items action and exactly you know, what parameters and what it gets back and so on. So I think that's especially useful to be able to get to that instantly like that. So going a little bit deeper, so I would say that's all the kind of getting started stuff, I would say. But similarly, on the expressions, so functions and expressions, because that is where I would say a lot of people that I talk to who are getting started with Power Automate, they get as far as doing basic things, adding triggers and actions, but if it comes to using dynamic content, so being able to put in fields from previous steps, but usually when it comes to writing expressions to get some kind of other functionality to go on, that's kind of where the wall gets hit a little bit. And so I think if I remember right, and now I didn't switch back, or can you even switch back anymore? But I think you could get sort of more specific help on the functions previously, but in the new UI, you just get this button that, in the context, that says list of functions, and that takes you to this page, which is the reference guide for using functions in Logic Apps and Power Automate, because they share basically the functions. But this is really, really useful because you can go down to along the side here and say, you know, you want to do something with string. Of course, it's at the top. That makes no sense. But anyway, and then so you can see what it is you're trying to do with the task, and then what kind of string function you need to use to do that. So if we know, let's take Rory's example, that you want to split. You want to return an array that contains substrings. So I think that's probably the same sort of thing that Rory was doing. I think they mean the same thing. Probably, yeah. And so that gives you, an array of some substrings and based on your delimiter, and then you can use that in whatever way you want to use that. But anyway, so this gives you a full reference of all of the functions and some examples, generally speaking, on these, so that you can see how, what the syntax is and what you're going to get out of it. Then we moved right into date time, it looks like. It's the alphabetical list, that's why. Let me know if there are any questions in the chat, by the way, because I don't have the chat open, if somebody wants to let me know. So I'm happy to dive into anything else. And then a couple other things that I wanted to mention are some community resources as well. So those were all Microsoft resources. You're probably, most of you, aware that Peter Veenstra, who also is involved with your user group, has a pretty awesome blog where he talks about a lot of Power Automate things. In fact, usually when somebody asks a question about some little intricacy of Power Automate, Peter responds with, "Oh, I have a blog post about that," or else he'll have a blog post the next day about that. So I would say that's a really good resource. And the link in the links will take you to his one blog post that is kind of the one blog post to rule them all, his ultimate Power Automate user guide, which is kind of a compendium of a lot of his other blog posts broken down into different categories, and also some external resources as well. But he's got so much content that really a lot of it is his. So, raise your hand if you've ever run into a problem in Power Automate and the answer was on Peter's blog. I think it probably will be. I know it has been several times for me. Another really good community resource, this is getting probably more advanced, is John Liu from Australia. And especially if you look, most of he does blog, but not, and video, but not as frequently as he tweets. And so if you look up his tweets with the Flow Ninja tag, you'll get all kinds of really crazy things that you never knew you could possibly do with Power Automate. Some of them are simple, but a lot of them are kind of complex, but he's able to break it down so that even normal people can do the crazy things that he does, just as far as getting things out of actions and so on that you didn't realize you could do, or different patterns that you didn't realize that you could use. So you can see he's on his 118th Flow Ninja hack, basically. And so if you look down through his thread of tweets, you'll find all kinds of little gems. And he's another one too. If there's some kind of really technical problem in Power Automate and it gets tweeted about, he'll probably figure it out by the next day. And then a little plug for Flow Pro Show. So as I said, this is a usually monthly webcast that we do live on Teams. The next one coming up is going to be July 28th. You can find the link as soon as I post it on our Twitter at Flow Pro Show. And again, that's me and Daniel Laskowitz. And we usually try to have guests from either Microsoft or the community. So our MO is we do community, or I should say we do Power Automate news first. So we have a segment where we go over what all is new in Power Automate in the past month, and what that means for you, and not usually a demo of it, but talk about it, what the ramifications are of the changes that have been made. Then we have a community highlights segment where we highlight maybe some videos or some blog posts that people in the community have written about Power Automate. And so we're always looking for additions to that. If people want to make suggestions, feel free to tweet that to Flow Pro Show, and maybe we'll include that in the next show. And then we usually have a guest segment. So this coming one on July 28th, our guest is going to be Serge Luca, who is also known as Dr. Flow from Belgium. And we're going to talk about using Power Automate in enterprise scenarios, because he's done a lot of that in his career with Power Automate. We'll probably also talk a bit about Power Automate in a day, because he's the one who has mainly written that's in GitHub. And also we'll be looking at his new business process management Power App / Power Automate solution that he has built basically around approvals and rerouting and a whole business process, which is quite cool. So I would recommend that. And I forgot to look up exactly what time it is of day. I think it's something around early evening for you folks. Another one of our shows that I would really recommend looking at, the link in the links is going to take you to our YouTube channel, which is where the recordings of the shows are. And not last month we had Kent Weir on, which was also a really good show. That was about RPA. The one before that, though, I really, really enjoyed. That was Charles Lamanna from Microsoft, the vice president in charge of Power Platform. Yep. And he, in that case, we didn't do our regular thing that we do, and we just had an Ask Me Anything, and which was really awesome. So we had questions from the attendees that were in the chat, and he answered everything and just talked a lot about the vision for Power Automate and everything. So I would really recommend going and rewatching that if you get a chance. It was a great conversation, I thought. And then last, I just want to give a tiny little plug because we do have resources, free resources on our new website. So this is a new company that Brett Lonsdale and I are starting as a kind of a sister company to Lightning Tools. And it's around coaching on Power Platform and Teams. So if you're looking to get started or to do, our idea is to do, if you want to do some specific thing in one of those areas, then we can help you get there with really targeted training. So not like going to a training course or not where you get trained on everything, but targeted to what you're trying to accomplish. And then also not like consulting where we're creating something for you, but rather you're creating it yourself, and with just guidance from us and our coaches. So, but we also, the reason I put it here, because I don't like to plug things really on a user group, but that we do have resources pages as well, where we have a community events page that we'll keep on adding to, and also resources on each of the different platforms, and also we'll be blogging about general topics on all of those things. So this is something brand new. We're just in the process of launching. I'm still battling with Twitter over our account handle, but then we'll be able to actually launch. And so that's what I had, but I would like to kind of open it up to the group, because probably you guys have also had a lot of, let's see if I should work, I think. Oh, but now I don't see my, yeah. Are you guys able to still see the screen with the QR code? Probably not. No. So I can't see the chat and that. So maybe if you guys could let me know, or I should probably know how to do that in Teams, but yeah, let me know if there's any, or people to just speak up. Yeah, if you have other resources that you found useful or ways of learning Power Automate. I mean, I've found probably the best way of learning is to just get in and try and do that. But similar to the coaching idea, because I've been doing this for a while myself, is, if people might come to me and say, there's this specific thing that I want to accomplish with Power Automate, then I find that's a really good way to learn, is to have a really specific goal in mind, not just I want to learn Power Automate, but I want to move items from one SharePoint list to another or something. I need to do that for my job. And so then, and along the way, then learn the parts that you need to be able to do that. I find that to be the most useful, and then you can expand on that and, see what you want to do beyond that, and then go into the additional learning resources that way. But knowing where those resources are and how they might help you is also really important. Does that make sense to everybody? Is that helpful? Hello.
Are we all nodding at the screen?
I think we're all nodding.
Oh, all right.
It's one of those things, you know, where do you go to learn? Where is your secret sauce? You know, mine's definitely John Liu and Peter Veenstra. Much as I hate giving Peter extra views on his blog.
All right, I know he's got so many, but
yeah, he's got.
Anybody else have some other ones that they've used to be able to learn Power Automate?
I do think some of the documentation is very good now. You know, the references for the functions, you know, it's very clear, very easy to understand with the examples that they've got there now.
And that didn't used to be the
into a
case.
tiny box. Al, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Well, you used to have to.
Yeah, take the code out and put it into a text editor of your choice, but at least you can put it back in and it's still formatted now, which does make it a lot easier.
I mean, you can put it in the whole big box now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always struggle with that new experimental feature thing. There's too many other bits that it breaks.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that I wish you could turn on parts of experimental things like you can in Power Apps.
Yeah, for sure.
Like just turn on some of the experimental things and not others, right?
Yeah.
The ones that are working.
Yeah.
And I would have included, well, I probably should include still Audrey Gordon's YouTube channel. She has a lot of Power Apps stuff on there, but during the time she was on the Power Automate team, she also produced a good many really good Power Automate videos, including some starting out ones. I should have included that, so maybe I'll go back and do that. But now she's on the Teams team, I believe.
There's actually a really good flow that I think it's an Audrey flow that they wrote for the COVID crisis communicator for deploying the SharePoint lists. Now every time I make an app that's on SharePoint, yes, I do make apps on SharePoint. I hate doing it, Al. I hate doing it. It upsets greatly.
You wash your hands afterwards.
Before and after, during if it's long, and if it's been really helpful because I like the way that CDS, I can just spin that CDS instance up and it kind of all my entities are created. So I make a flow now as I go along. Before I start, when I'm making my list, I do it all in with flow to make the list, and then I know I'm good and I've got my deployment. I can just off I go.
Nice.
Yep.
Anything to save time like that always helps, doesn't it?
Well, it's a long-term play, isn't it? Because if what you're building is going to be reusable, then like it just saves so much time and aggro.
Right, it's the whole idea, really. And if you do get a chance to listen to the Charles Lamanna interview, one of the things that he said, which I hadn't heard until then, was that part of the vision for Power Automate is to sort of self-automation. So using AI to see what kinds of things you usually do over and over and suggest to you an automation that you can do and kind of create that for you instead of you having to think of that and do it, which I thought would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
That does
I still
sound
think we
pretty
need
cool.
Control S first, though, Sandy. I think that's like Control S would be inversioning would be a good start. Let's start small, Charles.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. Well, listen. Thank you so much for coming, Sandy.
Sure.
It was lovely to have you virtually. We do miss you in real life.
Thank
It's
you.
lovely when you're here on your nomadic travels. But I'm sure we will be partying again soon. We're all busy trying to plan the party at the end of the world sometime in 2022.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
So yeah, we're trying to figure out where it's going to be. It might be like in a couple of places in the world because everyone might not be able to get to one place, but it's going to be bloody epic. So start saving your spondoolies for that. So just, I mean, again, as usual, thank you very much. Our next one's the 10th of September, I want to say, Al, off the top of my head. Is that right?
Oh, you put me on the spot there, but yes, it is. It is definitely September.
It is definitely September. Stay posted on Twitter. Sign up, get your friends to sign up for App in a Day, as well as Project in a Day as well, because that's brand new and absolutely awesome. And I can't wait to see what comes out of that. It's Inspire next week, which is for the partners. I don't know whether they've opened that up to everybody else. No doubt there'll be some bombs dropped and some announcements there as well, which, you know, when these things happen, you never know where they're going to, which Microsoft event the big bombs are going to drop. So just have to wait and see what happens. Fingers crossed there'll be some Power Platform love in there for us lot. God knows we need it. So thank you so much for coming, Rory. Thanks for being well behaved, and I think you did your mum proud. She didn't tell you off, and she's not come to box your ears, so you're doing all right.
I heard you looked after her. I assumed it was you that answered her call.
I was surprised she was alive, mate, with the amount of pills she's been taking every time you send her a text.
It's the proverbs that have helped her.
What, like the "don't bite the hand that feeds" proverb that you sent her?
Was that the one?
It was the one, the live one. You were like, "Yeah,
That's
don't
classic.
forget to take your pills and don't bite the hand that feeds."
So are we? We're recording this, aren't we? So I can put this
Oh.
on my channel if that helps. I can just do the full recording if that's helpful.
Yeah.
Yep.
Please do, man. Please do. We'll put it out there. You can take a copy, many copies as you like. It's all open. Everyone's a winner.
I'll drop you a line tomorrow, Rory.
Yeah, cool.
Once it's all compiled itself and stuff.